How's it going, guys? Randall aka Shizakats here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel to bring you our Persona 3 Reload deck profile. Despite previous Persona cards existing in English in the form of Persona 4 version E and Persona 5, these sets are all unique traits compared to one another, allowing prospective Persona 3 players to create a deck entirely with cards from the new Persona 3 Reload Premium Booster, without needing to hunt down any of the older cards that may be extremely hard to find, or even worse, extremely expensive. Our list will be utilizing what we think are some of the most exciting tools available, so let's jump right in with our first build around, the level 2 and level 3 protagonist cards. This level 2 protagonist and Orpheus can discard a traded character on play in order to draw a card, offering some free hand filter utility. However, the main attraction of the card lies in its Climax combo. When the choice Climax Done and Dusted is placed on your Climax area, you can send him standing to memory in order to early summon the level 3 protagonist and Thanatos from your hand. This level 3 is an on-play healer and has a Climax combo with the same choice Climax Done and Dusted that allows us to either stockpile resources or burn our opponent for extra damage. This level 2 to level 3 pattern is similar to Climax combos such as Kanata from Hololive or Toph from Avatar, and allows the protag to be used as a resource generator at level 2, accumulating the necessary cards to ultimately win the game moving forward. Specifically, the protag can either choose a card from your waiting room or an opponent's character on stage, and return that character to its owner's hand, in addition to a blind stock 1. The ability to bounce an opponent's character back to hand rather than salvage gives the deck some good flexibility against board-based decks such as Standby that might threaten this card's presence on stage, since protag is a combo that wants to be played at level 2 and then stay there until the end of the game. In pretty much any other instance, you will most likely want to be salvaging counters that can be used to protect him on defense, additional copies of himself to play later, or supportive pieces that can find another copy of his Climax, such as Akihiko level 0, Yukari Climax Swap, Junpei level 3, or even the 2-1 Changer. We'll look at those other cards I mentioned in more detail later on. In order to have maximum consistency to see and play as many copies of the protag as possible upon reaching level 2, we are running a full playset of both the Orpheus level 2 and the Thanatos level 3. To go alongside this suite, we are playing the Junpei as our level 1 combo. Junpei's Climax combo is with a door, milling 2 cards on attack, adding up the levels of the milled cards, and salvaging a character whose level is equal or lower than the sum. This is often referred to as a cigarettes effect. However, if the sum of levels milled is 2 or more, he also gets an extra soul, letting him swing extra hard and fast in the early stages of the game. With a high concentration of level 2 and higher cards in the deck, thanks to our protagonist package, it should be fairly easy to grab those pieces for the level 2 game, while also swinging for big damage at the same time. One final piece of our Climax combo setup is the one of Pharos. This is a level 2 assist card that gives an additional 2000 power to level 3 or higher characters in front of him, boosting our protag and Thanatos up to 12,000 power. Additionally, Pharos also has an on-play discard bond to the level 3, giving you yet another way to access it. Between the Junpei combo, Pharos, and our Door and Choice Climaxes, we have a plethora of ways to prep ourselves for the level 2 game, to put our Thanatos combos into play and start generating lots of value. Alright, on to the rest of the list, starting with the level 0s. P3 Reload doesn't have any particularly strong going first plays. We have no level 0s with big beefy cross-turn power, and our best runner profile is a 2500 Koromaru that cannot side. There's also the option of running the protag that can rearrange top 2 on play, and on attack can summon a level 0 to the back row, which I would say is the best consideration that we are not running in today's deck. Despite not running any dedicated turn 1 plays, we are still running a plethora of strong level 0s, starting with our level 0 protag Riki. The Riki effect of Pay 1 Clock 1 Search can set up the deck for success by searching key pieces for the early game, such as the Junpei level 1 combo, or maybe a Brainstorm if you don't already have one. And the on-play discard draw effect gives the card even further utility. Mitsuru is a fairly strong attacker and value generator. She gains 1k when your other traded character attacks, reaching a maximum of 4k power before any external boosts, and her JC effect allows you to gain value and reuse a card on your board that would have ordinarily been defeated. Additionally, using this card can give the opponent a hard time if they have abilities that require reversing your characters, since you can bounce the attack target back to your hand and avoid the reverse altogether. Akihiko level 0 is one of the tools mentioned earlier that can allow the deck to find climaxes more easily. His On Death effect lets you look at up to 3 cards from the top of the deck and grab up to 1 climax you see there, and if you added a climax, you discard a card. At worst, this card is a free mill 3 with no downside, and at best, this gets you the climax you need to get the ball rolling. Amazing profile overall. He also attacks for 3k, which is a solid enough power line and gets over pretty much all utility level 0s with ease. Our next card is a Mitsuru Riko. The Riko effect, as we say time and time again, is very powerful, giving you a stockless discard outlet, semi-selective salvage, and knowledge of the top card of your deck all at the same time. You really couldn't ask for more. But Mitsuru is the gift that keeps on giving. When played, she also lets you choose an opponent's back row character with a level higher than your opponent's level, and then you prevent that card from standing during your opponent's next turn. Use this effect to punish standby decks and lock down that big dumb meatball that your opponent really wanted to move to the front row and uses their attacker on their next turn. Next is our brainstorm of choice, Aigis. She is a rest self-salvage brainstorm and also gives level 1 and higher characters in front of her an additional 500 power during your turn. She is a very simple card, but one that you will always want to have a copy of in your back row. For our utilities, we have Aigis, a drop searcher that gains +1 soul in center slot, and Koromaru, a drop salvage that mills 2 on play and gains power based on the number of traded characters that you milled. These two can help secure missing pieces if needed, and are also decent intermediary options to grab if you happen to mill only level 0s off of your Junpei combo. And finally, we have the Yukari Climax swap. It's just a vanilla Climax swap, but this is just as important as it is in any other deck, if not even more important, given that we want to be looping the Protag and Thanatos combo multiple turns back to back. At level 1, alongside Junpei, we have 2 copies of the Protag level 1. This gains power on play based on the number of characters you control, including himself, allowing him to go up to 7,000 power if played last. He also top checks on play, and you can put the checked card back on top or on the bottom of your deck. Use this to manipulate your deck closer to a climax by following it up with a brainstorm ability, or if you don't plan on brainstorming as a follow-up, you can just leave a card on top and guarantee yourself 1 clean trigger. Our other level 1 in the deck is the Shinjiro Anti-Change Bomb, which sends an opponent's overlevel character to memory when he gets reversed in battle. He also has an anti-move effect on play, which, similar to the Mitsuru level 0, is a huge nuisance to standby decks. Between these 2 abilities, Shinjiro does a fantastic job of making standby players have an awful time. Moving on to the level 2s, we have already talked about the Changers and the Pharaoh support, so now we have 3 counters. 2 copies of the Elizabeth free refresh counter ensure that if we trigger too many climaxes and end up in an awful spot, we can use the counter to pay out those triggered climaxes and hopefully avoid exploding. The Shinjiro backup is a simple memory kick backup, which has 3k power compared to Elizabeth's 2500. Look for the Shinjiro counter if you are specifically interested in the memory kick, or if you perceive that that extra 500 defensive backup power over Elizabeth will make the difference. Finally, we get into the level 3s, starting with Junpei, who is honestly a perfect pairing with the level 3 Protag. On play, you can pay 1 extra stock in order to salvage a climax, perfect for getting another combo turn with all of the Protags that hopefully your opponent failed to contest. Junpei can also pay 1 discard 1 on attack to gain 2,000 power and on reverse burn, letting him get in on the finisher action. And our last card, but certainly not least, is a stock swap event. Stock swap is a tool that is welcome in any deck's arsenal, and sets that don't have it are often seen as being at an inherent disadvantage compared to those that do. Thankfully, we have access to it in P3R, so we can use this event to destroy our opponent's hard work, accumulating all of that clean stock, and hopefully eat through a bunch of climaxes in their deck at the same time. The overall strategy with this deck is pretty straightforward. We want to use our level 0 line to set up our Junpeis at level 1, which will in turn set up our Protags at level 2. From that point, support the Protags with the 2-1 Pharaohs, and defend them with counters like Elizabeth and Shinjiro, and then finally use their burn mode to finish off the opponent when the time is right. Any of the first 4 level 0s on our list are fantastic cards to see in the early game and are potential considerations to keep in your mulligan alongside cards like the level 1 Junpei combo and his Climax. Protag Riki and Akihiko can be used to set up for your Junpei level 1 turn by grabbing copies of the Junpei level 1 combo, as well as the Door Climax if you don't already have one. Even if you do already have a Door, grabbing a Choice Climax in preparation of level 2 isn't a terrible idea either, since you will definitely need one once you get there. At level 1, just use your Junpei combos to grab your level 2 pieces while milling through your deck. Optimally, you would like to reach your first refresh before you hit level 2, so use Brainstorms and Akihiko level 0 effects to mill the deck as needed. At level 2, simply develop your Protags and Pharaohs to take control of the board. Assuming you were able to reach your first refresh before hitting level 2, once you do actually level up, you will have a waiting room full of potential options to salvage off of your Protag combo. If necessary, you may want to side attack your opponent's board with your Protags so that you do not eat an anti-change counter to the face. This is based on matchup knowledge and is part of the learning process of Weiss and may take some time to learn for newer players. At level 3, nothing really changes. Ideally, your Protags are still sticking around, and you can get additional Choice Climaxes to continue comboing through cards like the Junpei level 3. Add Stock Swap to the mix, and you have a lethal finisher setup. If your Protags did end up getting answered at level 2, you may want to look for copies of the 2-1 Changer so that you can get your Protags back onto the board at a lower stock cost. Use your Brainstorms to grab copies as necessary, and then use whatever stock you have available to put copies onto the board to continue comboing. As far as color priority goes, you will obviously want to be prioritizing red for the level 1 Junpei combo, followed by yellow for, well, everything else. There's not a whole lot of red in this deck, so if you see a Junpei level 3 in the opening hand, it might be a good idea to keep it and clock it so that you can send it to level. We are running 2 copies for a reason. And that's going to wrap it up for our Persona 3 Reload deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we have some really spicy P3 gameplay coming up on the channel, featuring all 6 P3 Reload Climax combos across 2 exciting games. We hope to see you there, and until then, this has been Randall aka Shizakats on the Tressa's Collectibles channel. See ya!